working on the framework. So basically, I was going first I was taking. I didn't fork everything and put it in my local machine and just running it. I just took one, first login page, then try to run it and see, I'm debugging, the errors. So I know, okay, what are the things I need to add, and probably then I need to download some files in order to work that, or maybe I need to import the Java class or something like that. I was learning little, then I'll understand.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's talk about your resume. So if we start with that, all the technologies that have been mentioned in your skill set, for example, if we just go about the highlighted point in your resume that says that you have worked on functional regression phase, acceptance, this is blah blah testing, and in terms of your technologies, you have worked with WebDriver, SOAP-based testing. So whenever there is a skill set mentioned in your resume, make sure that you have a backup plan for it, just in case someone has asked about it. So for example, if someone is asking you that, have you worked on QTP? What's your experience in QTP or VB scripting? Then as you know that we have not been going in detail about QTP. So just make sure that the little knowledge about that, what is QTP? QTP is again a tool for your automation. VB scripting is again a kind of language that you can do your small scripting and things. So if you know that you have not done this part, but this has been mentioned in your resume, make sure that you can relate it with something like that you can talk about, in the sense that yes, your resume says 7 years of experience, then you should say that QTP is again a tool which was used previously. So you should say that yes, I have worked on QTP, but it was far in the past, like 4 years back or 5 years back when I started with my automation things. Then I started with QTP and a little bit of VB script, but afterwards onwards I have been working with Selenium, because Selenium you do have a knowledge about, you do know about it, right? So there are going to be technologies that are not from this age, who are like down the line 4 years or 5 years. So you should always have, let's say, a knowledge about those things as well. If someone is asking you specifically, okay, your resume is saying QTP, how much do you know about QTP? Then obviously you won't be having a knowledge about it, but you still know what QTP does, or you should be quick enough to maybe just Google it out if you are doing a phone interview or maybe a Skype round, so that you can just talk about it a little. Okay. Then coming back to your Selenium, whenever
excuse me, just all I heard to know is just instead of Selenium we use QTP. The other one is open source. This is a like a licensed one, and
it was
it was top application.
Absolutely. So it was before your Selenium WebDriver, people used to use QTP. Yeah, that's enough. Just tell them that I did not use it recently. I have used it down the line 5 years back. So that if you are missing out on it, they still know that there's been a gap. She hasn't used it. Okay?
Okay.
Things like that. So you should always should be, quick enough to cater any cross questioning that is happening around. Okay?
Okay.
Then
will they ask about like what is the advantage or
no, nothing like that. If we are just talking about these points, they will not ask about all these things. Then having said that, whenever you are people will always ask you to introduce yourself. The introduction points should come from these highlighted points in your resume. When you are talking about that what you have been worked on, so maybe you can start with that I have been working with 7 years. I started off with manual and a waterfall model and a spiral model. Initially, these two types of models were followed, right? So I have started with, just make sure that you incorporate all these words, all these technical terms in your brief summary about you. Then you can say that in my recent project, we have been working with Agile. I have been working with functional as well as automation testing. I have been using Selenium WebDriver, Maven, HTTP client, JMeter for performance testing, LoadRunner for performance testing. I do have an experience in SQL. I do have an experience in Unix shell scripting. I have been working with web services testing using various tools like SoapUI, Postman. I did have an experience in unit testing frameworks like JUnit, TestNG. I do have a knowledge about continuous integration tools like Jenkins and Maven. So all these stuff, make sure that the technical terms You put them, you brief, and it should come from your resume. So when someone is, because I have heard people that when someone is asking about their summary, as you guys more focus towards your WebDriver thingy, so they start detailing about the automation framework. That you should not do for the first point until unless someone specifically asking you that what you did in your automation framework. You should talk about the technical terms and try to use more of the technical terms as I just told you. So for example, whatever is being put in your key points, the topmost one, use them. For example, Selenium WebDriver, TestNG, Java, Maven, HTTP client for logging Log4j, SoapUI, all the tools and technologies that you have used and that are being mentioned in your resume. Okay.
So I have a question. So when they ask you to tell about yourself, like I have to start with the very first one, right?
The very
then
first
I
one.
Say what are the technologies I used, that one also, right?
Yeah, not entirely everything. You should just start with, let's say, your last project says Sears and Holding Dodgeville WI. Okay, it says that it's an online store that manages clothing and electronics. So you might have been going through so many websites, right? So many things. So you always have an idea about how online shopping works. There is a products page, there is a login page, there is a registration page, and all those things, right? So what you can say that initially, as the points are saying, that I have been working as a regression tester, which was more of a manual effort. So I was not working as a automation engineer. So basically what you should say that initially when I started working, I started my career as a manual tester. My first project involved regression testing most of the time and some of the UAT testing, but I did got a knowledge or experience in my PLSQL and basic computer skills. Okay. Then that's just to start with, just brief about it. Then you can just come about that. After that, I have been working with automation. I started working in QTP, black box testing. I did some SQL queries afterwards, but afterwards it's all been WebDriver, Selenium, completely Java based technology, JMeter for performance testing, everything. Then don't go by every project, just brief about them. So start off like that. I started as a manual tester with my first project. Make sure that you do have in your mind that what was the first project and when you started. For example, Sears Holding in 2009 you started off, or 2008 you started. Okay. Then from there, don't explain about every project as such. Then just say that afterwards I have been doing in rest of my projects till now. I have been working as an automation engineer, automation framework developer, using various technologies, and then just go about that. Name all the technologies altogether.
Yeah, the first just say that I started as a manual tester and I was working for Sears, and from there onwards I started using automation. Throughout my project. Okay.
Then so just brief about all the technologies.
Right, the tools first. I mean, like
just say that initially I've just used in my manual time. I just did my regression testing. Jira was there for bugs and all, and I did some normal PLSQL for checking the database and stuff. That's it. Okay.
So the rest of the things. Okay. Only we have to go in detail if they ask you about specific projects.
See.
But usually they'll only ask the first one, right?
Yeah, they will ask the most latest one. The most latest one, questions will be on that. So that's the area where you need to focus on. And moreover, try to put words more prominently that you have a knowledge about, more knowledge about, right? Because you should not show your faults. You should highlight your strong area so that if a question is coming, you should always have an answer about that. So keep on telling about the things that you know more. For example, Selenium, Java, SoapUI, JMeter, all these stuff. Okay, all right. Then how projects work nowadays, how your automation is coming. For example, if not even about your Wells Fargo project, any project that you have that you will be seeing. So it's always nowadays it's always front end is being made up of with your AngularJS or maybe something very lightweight HTML5, let's say. In the backend, people generally have your Spring APIs, which are basically your Java applications, and the backend would be any of your database like Oracle or something like that. And everything that is being put in right now, it's basically, let's say, REST-based API. So people are creating REST-based architecture more.
Okay.
Okay, so for now, let's talk about your project. It says that involved in this project as a primary function analyst in testing the Wells Fargo's wholesale team's new experience, CEO, standing for your commercial electronic office portal. So whenever there is a term called portal involved, that means it's going to have various pages. First of all, it's going to have a login page, then it's going to have let's say a registration page, then it is going to have, let's say, uh, a page about maybe users, a page about accounts, a page about products and all that stuff. So it's going to have all these common pages. So whenever if you talk about, you can always take a hint from your Whitebox QA. So first of all, let's just open Wells Fargo. If I'm opening Wells Fargo, how it is looking like, what is the website, how it looks and feels, so that you can always relate to it, that what you have been, you can just pick some random bits if someone is asking about it. Always make sure that you go through the website once at least, whatever project has been put into it. So let's say you have opened this one, and then your resume is talking about something, commercial electronic office portal. So that means there is going to be a portal that will deal with the all the commercial dealing in terms of your electrical appliances.
Is this for the Wells Fargo?
Yeah, this is for Wells Fargo. Wholesale teams new experience.
Okay.
So this is a Wells Fargo project that have been put in. So what they are saying, there is a wholesale team that is there. So there is a portal that has been created for them, and your role has been involved to manage that portal.
Okay.
Okay. The
the thing I got confused is you're saying about the electrical appliances.
No, just I just mentioned it for your reference. For example, not specifically that.
Okay. So what is, I mean, I don't get this what is that commercial electronic office?
Okay, see, you actually, the thing is that you don't always have to know exactly about entirely, because we also don't know what is happening inside the Wells Fargo, right? So, but the idea is that if someone is asking you that what generally you should be able to relate it to a normal portal that is been happening around. So for example, as I told you earlier, if there is someone is talking about a portal, as such, it's just the UI that changes. In standard terms, the portal for most of the companies is almost same.
Yes.
It's almost same, right? How it works, how it relates with anything. So how a portal looks like. So if someone is not going to ask you that what that portal was looking like, what you did in that, okay, how many pages or what was the UI, what you did and all. So what I'm trying to tell you that even if this is written in your project, what you should do or what you should try to relate it to is that it will be going to be of multiple pages as such. So in your commercial electronic office portal that Wells Fargo is dealing with, it has things like self-administrator where you can manage your own account. It has something in which, let's say, you can manage your portal from a mobile. Okay, and on this particular thing, you can basically look for your products, you can print something, you can share something and all that data. So it's basically for the people who are inside your Wells Fargo and who want to do different stuff.
Okay.
Okay, let me see if I can find it.
What do you do in wholesale teams in a bank?
Let me take. I think this is the link. Yeah, this is the link. Do you see now? This is their commercial electronic office.
Oh, okay.
This is the link for their commercial electronic office. This is for the employees that are working inside. So what are they providing over here? If you look at, there is a sign-on. There is a link for getting the CEO on mobile. There is a link for fraud production. Okay, so you don't have to always go inside, but you just have to have the idea. So for example, if someone is starting talking about that, what was commercial electronic wholesale, this thing, whatever. So what you should say that it was a portal for the employees where you can log in, where you can manage your own accounts, you can print your documents, you can go and visit whatever documents have been printed, whatever, let's say, what are the meetings that are being scheduled. If there is a meeting, if there is an event which is being organized, then we can send messages all together, or the commercial emails for the employees, for the people who have been involved with the Wells Fargo and all that stuff. Okay. And if you want, you can just take this link. You can where's your resume? You can even read it in your Wikipedia if you want. See, it's always good to have everything in your hand. So just try to dig up as much as possible from your Google when you are going. See, we can just tell you from our technical perspective. Okay. If you want, you can just read about it.
Okay, I'll do
There
that.
are details about that. This is how it is going to look like. This is what their commercial electronic office exactly is. They have something called self-administrator, which is an administrator tool. There is something called event messaging, right? There is a mobile link that you can download on your mobile for your reports and various services that you can provide.
Okay.
Moreover, they will not ask you in detail about how it looks. They will ask you in detail about what you did. Yeah. So what you can do then, coming point that what you did, then you should say that I have been working as a automation framework developer in that, using various tools. So we have been working with Selenium for automating the section of your commercial electronic office. For example, doing the login automation, doing all the pages automation, if they are working fine or not. Then there were some REST APIs that were involved in this thing. So for example, the data that we have been fetching for different users, and for even messaging that have been fetched.
Oh, it was breaking. I lost that part.
Okay, so
the Rust.
Yeah, but you can say that the data that we have been pushing, for example, for all the user data that we need from the third party vendor, anything like that, that we have been getting it using REST API. So we were doing some REST based API testing as well, using Postman and different tools. So just talk about those stuff, but try to main emphasis more on your WebDriver stuff. Make sense?
Okay. So here, the Rust we did manually, right, with the tools.
With the tools. Then you can just say that your resume is saying that you have been working with HTTP client as well. Okay, so basically for your automation of your REST API that you can use. So what you can say that recently we have moved to the automation of REST-based API as well. So we have started working on that part as well, using HTTP client, just in case. All right. Then start saying that this project is completely an agile. Then talk about agile.
One question. What kind of web services we are using there? Can you just go to that website?
Over here?
Yes, in that one. What kind of web service?
Okay, so yeah. So what you can say that for, if they are just asking, so what you can say that in our self-administrator tool, we have various users data for us that have been in touch with Wells Fargo, or various customers that are linked with that. So that account management data is being fetched by web services.
It was breaking. I didn't hear you well. Sorry.
Yeah. So what you can say if they ask that, see, first of all, emphasis on your skills rather than project.
Okay.
Then if someone is still asking you, then you can say, so for example, we had a self-administrator tool in which anybody can log in as well as can fetch the data of some users who have been registered with us and that we need to fetch for. So that data is being fetched using REST-based API.
Okay.
So that gets account management.
So basically the web service, it was the, what do you call, in-house, right? Not the third party or anything.
No. Yeah. In-house.
It's a
inbound web services, you should say. Or you can just, yes, there were some web services which we have, and then there were some web services which we have purchased from outside. Okay.
So, yeah, I think before we move to the next one, there we used SOAP UI too, right?
Yeah.
We are saying that automated using Selenium WebDriver, REST API, and SOAP UI.
So that's what I'm saying. Emphasis on your WebDriver. Then just say that yes, there were some web services involved. So the basic testing of those web services, we have been using SOAP UI to test those or to automate those scenarios.
Okay.
So
we have used
Please tell me.
For the same. No, my question is like So for that automating the web service, we used both tools, right? I mean, so we had basically two web services we used in that one. We used the SOAP as well as the REST.
No. You should not say that what type. It's always the REST. So with SOAP-UI as well, you can do your REST-based web services testing as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you should say that automation in your SOAP-UI is not that much extensive. You know that. The only basic things you can automate. So we can say that yes, there was some web services testing involved. So just the basic things that we have been doing with SOAP-UI.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Then yeah. So if they ask about, so if you are interviewed specifically about automation, they will basically focus on your WebDriver. Then again, another thing you should be clear about your agile life cycle. There are going to be questions that, okay, where did you stand in your agile? So if you are going as a developer, you should say that I was working as an automation developer as well as a QA engineer, or let's say you should say I was working as a QA engineer or a QA tester. So after every build, we will be doing the test. We were doing the testing, and once that phase is complete, after every sprint, or let's say after every sprint, we started initially. After that, we started working with our what do you call it, automation of that particular product. I think you have discussed it in your agile, right? How the sprint
works. It is like in sprint, right? The developers test.
Everything will go into one sprint or maybe multiple sprints. So let's say first sprint was for the first release for the developer. Then the second release, we came into picture. We started doing the automation and all that stuff.
Okay.
For the second step, for whatever has been developed and tested maybe. Okay, so these kinds of questions people are going to ask you about your agile. So be clear about from your agile perspective that where you should put yourself in. So for example, you should say I was a QA engineer. So after every first sprint, after every development that has been done, we immediately started working on the automation. Parallelly, the manual testing was going on and all that stuff. Then people can ask you that, okay, so meanwhile the development was going on, what were you doing? Right? Because at that time you did not start your testing. So what you can say that we have been going through all the documents and KT, the functional design documents, everything that we have in handy just to gain the knowledge about the domain that we need to start writing automation framework for.
Okay. So, but in agile, so what does that mean by, like, when developer starts, developing, the testers will also start testing. So how that works actually in real time?
Okay, see, every sprint, it has things involved. Your task is predefined, right? So how it happens in real time, that sometimes people do their development for the first sprint. Let's say first sprint is the 4th day, they have to build one section. They will do it. It will be entirely for the development part. That sprint, they will develop one module. As soon as they finish it in the first sprint, second sprint will involve all the parts. It will involve development, it will involve testing, it will involve automation as well. Okay, so it goes something like that. And sometimes what project do, they do development as well as testing as well as automation in the first sprint only. In the first sprint only, what they will do, okay, fine, let's give people a day to do some part of development. As soon as they release it, simultaneously people will start the testing of that part till the cycle is reached, the complete development is done.
Okay, so if the testers are doing it in the release 2,
you should always say that we have been doing in the sprint 2.
So basically in release 1, 2 releases, right? Release 1 is for developers and release 2
releases will be for multiple. Sprints will be multiple.
Okay.
A complete scrum, there will be so many of sprint dependent upon how much time frame you have. Okay, so it can be 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 15 days, anything else. But generally your role will come into picture after something has gone into for you to testing, right? Or for you to write automation on. So that will generally happen from your second sprint. There will be any number of sprints afterwards, but your process, your work will start immediately after that, parallelly with your development.
Okay. So in that, like in the first one, we'll be looking at the specification or design or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they might ask you that how oftenly you had your scrum or sprint meetings. So you should say that during our development phase, during our build phase, we generally have it every day just to discuss anything that we have been lagging into, just to for any backlogs that we have to cater all those things. So we used to have this every day, but later in the project we did it alternate, something like that.
Okay. One question regarding that integration using all those, Maven. I know I did up until Maven it's working, and after that, can you just explain me like it has to go to the integration Jenkins, and there when I do something, it's failing. I think because of some file is maybe not configured correctly. But how the build triggers? Let's say we are testing. I mean, like we did something and we are updating and putting it into the GitHub. How that works from there? Because I was not able to do that.
So what we do in real time, it's generally on your Unix environment, your Jenkins. But if not, if in terms of your Windows, how it happens at your pom.xml URL from your GitHub. We will take that one and we will put into your Jenkins configuration. From your Jenkins, there is an option from where you can configure your GitHub.
Right.
If you go through your Jenkins tutorial, you will get to know about it. In Jenkins, you can configure your GitHub URL. So you will put that build file over here. Then you will decide that when you want to schedule that build, whether you want to do it alternatively, whether you want to do it daily, or you want someone specifically to go and start your build as soon as something is being developed. So that's up to you. So what you can say that as soon as we finished one build sprint, people generally once that code is gone for after one side testing, so there were the people who were owning up to that build cycle and all, so they will start the build. They will do the entire build for the entire project or for entire development that has been done. If not, every night we have been scheduled a build to happen. Okay, so you can say that. So what you should say that if there was a development going on and somebody has done some development, then we did initiate the build for that particular code to go into the production or let's say into the testing phase. If not, then every night we have scheduled a build to happen, or every alternate night.
So from Jenkins, is there a connection to Rally, or is that a different one?
It's a connection to your GitHub, for build, wherever your data is being.
Yeah, I understand that Maven, Jenkins, and GitHub all go together.
Yeah. So okay, how Rally come into picture? Let's say your build has been run. Your build will come into some defect. So let's say your build is for your automation framework.
Okay.
Then your automation framework, how people do it, it will test whatever phases you have done. Then there will be some bugs. Something might not be working. Some errors might have come. Right? So from there, for all those bugs and everything, people again do some kind of automation to record that. Let's say for logging, to save it in a file. And then from there, they pick it up and they raise a bug on Rally. That this is for in this build, this is the issue that have come. Okay, so that from there this is post deployment stuff. That once your deployment is done, your build is complete. Then from there, raise a bug to Rally.
Okay. So in Rally we have to go manually and put it on, right? Is there any connection like
it? Yeah, in your Jenkins you can again in post deployment stuff you can again configure either sending an email or registering a bug to Rally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or you can just trigger an email if something breaks down in the build. An email will be triggered to these persons so that you can just go back and check the logs.
Okay.
And if any test is failing, then you can record those failing. You can get the records right from your automation framework sheets that this test has passed, this test has failed with test-ng. You can generate the reports, right? So what you can do, you can take those reports and you can use them to record bugs in your Rally. Again, you can configure that. Okay, but you can always say that configuration part I have not done it. Somebody else might have done it.
Okay.
You should say that the build team who was owning up to this Rally and Jenkins, that was entirely different.
Okay. So only we have to know it. We in real time the test.
Yeah, you should be able to just talk about it. That this is how it is happening, so that they know if any person know about the entire domain of the project. But if they ask in detail, what you can say that I was not the person who actually implemented it. There was a team who has been doing this configuration altogether.
Okay. So in real time, our QA engineer's job is only to do the automation, right? Nothing else.
Yeah.
But we need to know. We need to know how the whole SDLC works,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. And in this project, I think we are mentioning about GroovyScript. I have no.
You didn't attend the class for GroovyScript?
GroovyScript, yeah, added test cases using GroovyScript in SOAP UI tool.
It's very basic. If someone is asking you specifically about GroovyScript, just know that I have done a little bit of Groovy scripting in SOAP UI for writing normal assertions and all. Just go through your Groovy scripting class.
Okay.
It will not, unless your resume goes for a position that is specifically about SOAP UI, then you do have to have a knowledge about GroovyScript.
Okay.
But if it's just a normal profile for your Selenium and all, then you can just go through SOAP.
Yeah, because I don't think we did much in GroovyScript, and I also did not learn by myself.
Yeah, so you can just have a look going back.
Okay.
Then coming to your General Electric. It's a portal for GE Transportation Group.
Okay.
As you say, it's very simple. There are services, there are web services involved which were used to do the account management, asset management, shop management, and work order management. I think this should be pretty much clear to you. Account management, right? Managing the account. Asset management is that most of the time whatever you have purchased, whatever order you have got, becomes your asset.
Okay.
This is your order management, this is your product management. Any normal website that you can talk about, any e-commerce website for locomotives.
Is this the one basically the flights? I mean, like the transportation.
This is the transportation work. Yeah, so for your locomotives as well, you do have all this stuff, right? People are going to buy your stuff from GE.
Okay.
Your machinery as such, maybe trucks or anything like that. So that needs to be managed in some portal, right? If someone comes to GE, is coming to GE and buy a truck, that will get reported somewhere, right? All the license number and everything. What was the license number? How much? Who is the person who owned it? What is his personal details and all that stuff.
Okay. So this is basically, is that in her like a, what do you call? It's a portal for e-service portal for the transportation group. So this is for outsiders or for insiders?
For the insiders to manage everything on their website. So you can manage accounts of various people who have purchased stuff. You can see there what they have bought. You can see what is the status of their order. And you can see what are the options that are available, let's say on your website or anywhere to buy stuff. Shop management is that. Products and all.
Okay.
See, as I told you, from upper end, it's all same. Portals are all same. It's just how the pages are being developed. That changes from project to project. So you can always relate these things. Just go through any of the portal, any of the e-commerce website, any of them. Rest everything is same. Just the UI will differ.
Okay.
Then again,
So basically, these two are for the for inside, right?
For the inside. Yeah.
Okay.
Then again, skill set is the same. You can use the same one, and more of they will be focusing on this one rather than any of the remaining ones.
Okay. I think the data driven is mentioned. I don't know. The data driven.
We have been doing data driven testing, right? You are reading from the Excel sheet. That's data driven testing.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So how you are doing it? You are doing it with your Apache PUI. You are reading with your Apache PUI. So that's your data driven testing.
Right. Okay. Just thought about the keyboard. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Then your Cigna Health. It should be any healthcare business. How it works. Let's say. Are you able to hear me?
No. I was just asking you. Can you just scroll up a little bit to see that environment for the second project?
Here it is. It's the same as that of the first one.
In that, I think in the second project, it's I think the Appium and UI Automata. What should I say about that one? Mobile testing.
Yeah. So you did have a class about Appium, right?
Yeah, we did but we didn't actually do any testing. I think we went over the configuration. what are the files we needed and things like that.
Okay, so what
that's
you should be concerned about, let's say, if they start asking about APM, then you should know how APM work, what you need to do APM testing. The configuration is the most important for your mobiles. So you need to download Android SDK. Then another thing what they can ask is that how do you install an APK? How do you start an APK? Rest everything testing is same. You find an element, you start an APM driver instead of a normal driver and all that stuff. Rest everything is same. It's the configuration for mobile testing. The configuration is a major part.
Okay, but Android testing, I mean, instead of that web driver, like we are using different elements, right? So that overall, I don't think we.
No, elements will be all. There will be a different tool to locate the elements. For example, there is something called UI Automator that comes with your APM, using which you locate which element to pick up. Instead of starting a Firefox driver, you will be starting an APM driver.
Okay. Now my question is like, we use all those locators, right? In WebDriver, all those 8 locators, but in Android, it's all different, right?
Yeah, the Android, the way to locate them, CSS selectors will be same. It's just obviously mobile will have different look and feel. So there will be widgets, there will be IDs and all that. But how you locate them, that's entirely same as that of WebDriver. As in how you put them into code.
That part I don't think I did not even read that part. Only I went over that configuration. I mean, still I have to. I did not touch that one. The mobile, I yet have to study.
See, if someone is referring you for specifically for mobile, then obviously you have to do that. But if it's a general thing, then you can just say that yes, I have worked on APM.
Or just the configuration is enough, right? But here somewhere it was mentioning, in the environment, use the APM there.
Yeah, so you should know how to configure an APM, just in case if someone asks. Just in case.
Okay.
But yeah, obviously if your profile is going for mobile testing specifically, then you do have to have a knowledge about APM.
Okay.
Okay. And moreover, most of the time what they will ask you that for any real-time things or errors that you have faced. So you should be able to keep that in mind. So most of the time what you can say that yes, most of the time we used to get no such element exception because the page was taking more time to load. I've implemented various types of load to cater waits to cater that, all that stuff.
Okay.
And they can just ask you.
We can talk in UI, right? How about in Rust or in mobile? What kind of challenges?
REST-based API, most of the time what you can say that let's say the assertions that I have been putting, or let's say the website that I'm trying to get the response, it was not coming properly. I was not able to parse the JSON correctly, stuff like that. But as I told you, just say that we have just started with the REST-based API testing.
Okay.
And errors and issues on mobile, it will be same.
Okay. How about in SOAP UI?
SOAP UI, there should not be any such kind of issues, right? You will be putting all the assertions and all.
Also, there is not much issue. Only thing is sometimes the database connection, right?
Yeah, that's it. Okay. All right. So this is what then coming to your Cigna Health Insurance. It's a health insurance company, so there is going to be a portal, and which maybe so whenever, for example, whenever you go for an appointment into a hospital, if there is an assistant sitting outside, what she does is she opens a kiosk in front of her. She looks for a specific doctor according to your problem, and then she tells you time. If you hello.
Yeah, I can hear.
If you have seen it or maybe noticed it by visiting any of your doctors sometime, have you noticed something like that to any hospital?
Online doctors, hospitals.
No, just in real time. Have you seen something like this?
I mean,
how do you book your appointment? How do you book your appointment?
I didn't hear. I didn't follow you well, I think.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, let's say if you go out for an appointment in a doctor's office, the assistant, how have you ever tried to look how she looks for your appointment or how she books your appointment as such?
I think she. You mean in the front desk?
Yeah, front desk.
Yeah, we will provide some information, right? And they will ask us, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So it's a simple. Hello?
And they will look up in the computer, right?
Yeah. So that's the same thing that you need to talk over here. So what happens that generally the assistant, they have a kiosk in front of it, them. Dependent upon what kind of session you are looking for, they will look for doctors online. That whether this person, or let's say they will schedule their appointment online. That if someone is coming for a child specialist, there is a pediatrician available or not, what time he or she is available, if or let's say if for a given treatment, what is going to be the cost of it and all that. So everything that is available online for the Cigna Health Insurance, for basically for all the patients that are coming in, that was being done in your Cigna Health Insurance project. So what they used to do, when someone is coming in from the database, based upon user's personal information, they will pick up user forms. They will see what kind of treatment he or she is being, looking for. Then based upon that, which doctor is available, and dependent upon what insurance they have, what is going to be the cost of that altogether. All that thing you can check online.
Right.
Okay. So it should be very simple. So over here, if you see, it's everything is same. Instead of, you will be talking about JUnit. Specific, instead of your TestNG, there is JUnit involved, and you have been using your Selenium remote control. So remote control is the initial used one. So if just in case they ask, you should say that it was way in the past. I started off with your Selenium RC, writing basic scripts, and then Selenium IDE to just do the record, play, and plug kind of thing. JMeter for our performance testing and all that stuff. Okay. Because there is no mention of your WebDriver for 2010 and so on. So the initial Selenium thing, you can talk about them.
Yeah, the RC, right?
Yeah.
But still in RC also we need to do the programming, right?
Yes, we do programming. It's just a little different in syntaxes and
server, using the server, right?
Yeah.
Selenium server.
Yeah. So you can always say that I've done it in.
I mean, so in RC we use that Selenius command.
Yeah, in RC we use Selenius commands.
Okay.
Yeah. If you know this, that's enough. That's enough for your previous class.
Okay, one question. How do you convert that JUnit into TestNG?
JUnit into test. Okay, so you can just configure if you have if you have a JUnit test script, right?
Yes.
So what you can do in your XML, you can just say JUnit is equal to true.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, then this is your manual testing. It's again an e-commerce website, as in buying, selling, and all that, clothing and electronics and home appliances. So it should be fairly easy for you. Any website you can take an example of. They are not going to, anyways, they will not ask in detail how it looked and anything, all that.
Okay. How about that?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Okay. Again, this is your e-commerce.
Hi.
So it's just basically ordering your cable and all related to your packages for your TV, internet, and account billing and everything on that online. It's a cable company, right? So if you want to get a connection of this cable company, what packages you need, what's your TV connection you need, how you want to manage that. So all these pages on that on their online portal, if you need to buy that.
Okay. Oh, from there also the Agile is mentioned. So that means it's like 4 or 5 years Agile experience it's showing.
Yeah, I mean, as I told you, you should be able to that. Where did you fit in that cycle? That's they're gonna ask that how did you do your meetings and all that stuff. And moreover, it says that you have been doing your manual testing. So you can say most of the time it was manual testing, but then we started using QTP.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about these projects. Just have a knowledge about it, that what they do if they are asking about it.
Okay.
Make sure that you go through your resume and you at least remember the projects where they were, the locations of all these projects and all that stuff.
Okay.
But more of not the date is also not fine. You can just always say that it was in, maybe in 2010, I guess, or something like that. They won't even ask about it. But the main thing is that just make sure that you go through this Wells Fargo completely.
Okay. In Cigna Health, that is that's the third one, right?
Yeah, that's the
so I
third
have 5 projects there.
Yes.
What is that TDD, AL?
Technical design document.
Oh, okay.
Whatever code you put in, whatever code a developer put in, or even you put in, you will be creating a technical design document for it. You will be putting all the technical details about the development that you have done.
What is
For
it?
different modules.
ATDD?
What is?
ATDD.
Where is ATD?
After TDD, you see that in the third project, I think. In the Cigna, in the environment.
One second.
Webpack, SQL Server, HTML, XML, Unix. Grid.
I've never heard about something called ATD. Where is it?
The Cigna project. Yeah.
ATDD. Okay. ATDD. I don't remember the full form of it.
Maybe we can delete that one.
No. 1 second. It's something in the agile. I don't. It's. Oh, it's your. It's your acceptance test development something. It's your acceptance test driven development. So in your agile, what do? You create a document in which you specify that whenever let's say we have something called behavior driven development, right? In which we will see that this is going to be the behavior of this uh, functionality. So what your ATD is basically, it's what I can say, it's more of your development technique, that how you are going to do your development. So for example, you will be writing a document for your specifications. You will be doing a behavior driven development. For example, that this is how is this functionality is going to be implemented. This should be the behavior of that, and all that stuff. When you put them all together into one, that becomes your ATDD. In another terms, that how that product is going to be accepted, you develop in terms of that from users angle. So it's just a technique that people use.
Okay. So do we use anything for in acceptance testing, any tool or anything, or just
no, it's end users who will do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here in integration testing is mainly in Jenkins, right?
No, integration testing is you're combining various modules all together.
Yeah, I mean usually different developers or testers, they do different modules.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And regression is mainly if there is a bug, again we test it and see if that is working properly again.
Everything is working correctly or not.
Yeah, without any regression testing. And functional testing. Okay. One thing, everywhere I think the performance testing was mentioning. So if they ask me what kind of performance you tested for in each project, what should I say?
You just said that I have done the basic JMeter testing just to check how the website is being performing. So we have just created various stuff. So you can just say that, for example, for a normal home page, there was a content over there. We just need to see that how much time home page is taking or various pages is taking. So we just created a thread group. We used JMeter to see that how much response is coming, so that we can just see that if there is anything to be fixed.
Oh, okay. So basic, just the basic.
Yeah, just the basic thing. Yeah, because you are going as a QA, not as a load tester.
Okay. Object repositories for buttons. Yeah.
Okay. And so if your profile is being submitted, just go through the JD and see what they are looking for and focus on those stuff for that day.
Right. Okay. One more thing. What was that? I forgot. Something I wanted to ask you. Yeah, if they ask me, tell about, okay, if you used, have you used any framework, tell about that, something like that. What should I say?
Yeah, so you should always say that we have been working on automation framework using Selenium WebDriver, Java, and TestNG, along with our Maven and GitHub and Jenkins configuration. So this framework that we have developed, it was following page object pattern and was based upon your data driven testing using Apache PAI. So what we did, we tried to create a framework which should be free of more of the user interaction. So we have created pages, we have created test classes, we have created wrapper classes on top of our WebDriver. So, and apart from that, we were reading all the configurations from a property file, the JSON that we have, or let's say the locators that we were reading from a JSON file. So that we will just, if anything changes in the locator, we can update only one file altogether and stuff like that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I think whatever in WBL, right? The same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. That's why I'm saying that that's for your reference.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That localization. How do I do that localization? Corporate web testing, localization, regression, load testing. Excuse me?
Where are you reading?
The first one.
Yeah, so localization is basically, you remember what is localization testing? Okay, localization testing is, let's say,
I don't think that, right?
It's more of related to that only. So whenever we are talking about localization testing, it's more of like that if someone is changing the language, or let's say if our website is an international website, if we are going out of that, then it should cater to that local needs. For example, if Amazon, if we go to Amazon.in, currency should change to rupees and all that. That's your localization.
So what is the internationalization then?
Over here, it does not make any sense for this particular test, for this particular project, so don't worry about it. Localization is basically if you have an option, change the language, whether that's working correctly or not. But you don't have anything for localization, so you can ask them to remove it.
Okay.
It's more of when you have cross-domain kind of websites.
Excuse me?
Yeah, it's more, localization is more where you have cross-domain websites. Available in multiple areas.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, right. Yeah. Whether everything, it should be locally available, right? Then
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you should just go through your resume. You should be able to talk about it, I think.
Yeah, I'll go through it one bit because I didn't go through it much because I was working on this framework and it is taking a lot of time.
Yeah, no problem. So just go through it. If you still have any doubt, let us know.